Last time we had one of these, we did pretty damn good. Okay, last time we had one of these drafts, I want to say that we probably already had the winning draft of the big board, so don't bother entering. It was immaculate. But since then, we've had so much different news. We have Lamar Jackson news. We have Derek Carr news. Daniel Jones news. We have a bunch of different players getting hit with the franchise tag like Pollard, Jacobs, Barkley. So maybe this draft board's going to look a little different. Obviously, we have the NFL Combine. We have free agency rumors. The Jets are making some plays. So let's go through and let's get in an updated 2023 fantasy football draft. See if we can go through and crush it yet again. And as I load this bad boy up, make sure you drop a like in the live stream if you have not done so already. And if you want to get in one of these drafts with us, you can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the description of this video, in the comment section, in the live chat. When you go and sign up with promo code FLOCK to Underdog Fantasy, they will match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. And it's available in damn near every state. I think the only states Underdog's not available in: Nevada, Louisiana, Washington. No, I don't know about Hawaii. Hawaii, maybe. I think those three, maybe there. Michigan. Michigan's the other one. Okay. Yeah, pretty much every state. I'm in Texas right now. We have it. I was in Florida last year. We have it pretty much everywhere. But let's see if anything different happens. Super basic draft so far. Like literally nothing weird's happened. I think in the last draft we selected at the 107 and Tyreek Hill fell to us, which was really nice. Daniel coming out with the donation says, for the flock, thank you so much, my friend, for supporting. I truly do appreciate it. Okay. Senior says, why is Bijan Robinson projected so high if he might not even start? I don't know what you're asking by that, my friend. Bijan Robinson will start wherever he's going. We almost get Cooper Kupp falling to us, which would have been very, very interesting. Now that that doesn't happen, I'm probably going to go through, take... Who could be the quarterback of the Raiders this next year? We'll go to Davante Adams. We're definitely going to go wide receiver here. I don't necessarily know if we want to be going A.J. Brown or Davante Adams. They are extremely close. If we would have had Kupp, Diggs, Tyreek fall into us, I think we would have had a very easy decision to make. But please, spam the chat right now. Where would you have gone? Would you have gone Davante Adams or A.J. Brown? I'm not really going to be considering Austin Eckler in that range, but please, please, please let me know. Okay. Rusty says would have gone Eckler. Based on the running back value we're able to get later on, it's just so hard for me to take Eckler over those guys. We have Brown, Davante Adams, Brown, Adams, Brown, Eckler, Adams. So it looks like most people are preferring A.J. Brown over Davante Adams at this point. Eckler, JT go at the 1-2 turn. And also, please, if you have not dropped a like, make sure you're doing that ASAP. Jalen says, what does best ball mean? Like whoever has the most points on your squad gets counted towards the final score. Yeah, so essentially best ball, you're not having to submit your starting lineup throughout the year. So it's zero time commitment. That's how I'm able to draft over 700 of these teams every year on Underdog. So essentially if you have, say, like Deshaun Jackson from a few years past down and you select him in the 13th round, you never know whenever he's going to have his massive spike week. And then all of a sudden, randomly in week 7, he has 3 receptions, 2 touchdowns, and 100 yards. Then he will automatically go into your starting lineup. So it's just at the end of every week, Underdog automatically submits the best possible starting lineup for you. And yeah, I know we've talked about this time and time again. I just have no interest in taking a quarterback here at the beginning of the second. I'm going to take Jalen Waddle instead. And hell, maybe if we want, we can get Lamar Jackson at pick 41. Okay. Lax says, Mason, what round should I draft Bijan Robinson in an 8-team league? Second round, I'd say. I mean, I think that I probably have him around pick 15 in my rankings now, so 16. Okay. Ashton says Waddle. Yeah, y'all know we made a lot of money drafting a lot of Jalen Waddle this past year, but we used to be able to get him at the 3-4 turn. Here, pick 17. Definitely a different level of investment. I will admit that, but hell, he was so good that I really have very little hesitation to pull the trigger there. Very little. Greg says, what do we think about the Aaron Rodgers trade? I'm assuming that there's been no Aaron Rodgers trade as of now. Let me go through and pull up just to make sure nothing broke over the past 20 minutes as I was setting up this live stream. Yeah, there's been nothing. So, I mean, I think if you're Rodgers, you kind of have to go to the Jets. Like, if you're Rodgers and you're going to Vegas, what's the point? You know? Maybe if you want to just have the lifestyle, living on the closer to the West Coast, better weather than Wisconsin. I've never been to Wisconsin, but I'd imagine Vegas probably has more stuff to do as well. Maybe if you want to go lifestyle, maybe you really love your buddy Davante Adams. If that was the case, I would say you probably shouldn't have made a contract that drove him out of town. But I don't know. I mean, are the only two realistic spots at this point Vegas and the Jets? Sean coming out, thank you, my friend, says, where would you feel comfortable taking Mahomes, Allen, Hurts? Third round? Yeah, I mean, I would say that late round 2, early round 3 would be appropriate. Josh Allen was going mid round 3 this past year. I was loving the value that you were getting on guys like Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, the 4-5 turn a year ago. I know that that is unrealistic to assume that they're ever going to fall there again. But if we begin to see Mahomes, Allen, Jalen Hurts go in the third, I will be significantly more willing to draft them then, if that makes sense. Be happy to take them then. Steven says, hey, Mason, what's the best number to pick from this year? I would say 1 or 2. If you're able to get Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, I love it because I think that the players that you have available to you at the 2-3 turn aren't much worse than the players that are available in the second and third round later on in the draft. Like if I'm going to be looking at the difference between, say, Jalen Waddle at 17 versus Kenneth Walker at 24, they're kind of about the same guy. It's hard to make an argument that one is significantly better than the other. Whereas if you're looking at Justin Jefferson at 1 versus Davante Adams at 8, yeah, Jefferson's just in a completely different tier at that point. So I would say, oh my gosh, we are just, this is gross. Gross. What am I supposed to do? And this is another issue that you have. 3-4 turn, in my mind, your options are horrible. That's why I really do prefer having that early first. Because like the teardrop that you get after Nick Chubb goes off the board at pick 30, it's like a very serious hit. The majority of drafts that I find myself in later on, like if we're pick 9, 10, 11, 12, is just really gross. Usually if I'm pick 7 or 8, I kind of get lucky more times than not by having one of those running backs there at the beginning of the third falling to us, where I'm just not that comfortable grabbing a Ramondre Stevenson or Tony Pollard here. Which obviously if Pollard repeats what he did a year ago, Pollard's a great selection with this pick. But Zeke's still going to be there. To go along with this, I mean, Pollard's coming off a pretty serious injury. Maybe if we wanted to go Burrow, what we could have done is we could have taken T. Higgins over Jalen Waddle, but I feel like it's very difficult to take Burrow at 32 without having either Chase or Higgins, and Burrow goes 39. If we would have had Burrow 41, maybe we would have gone in that direction. Okay, so let's try to sit back, think again. Where can we take pick 41 here? Jalen says DeAndre Hopkins over Amari. I am personally going to be taking Hopkins as of now because I think Hopkins can have a larger swing in his ADP for good or bad. And based on this being a tournament-style contest, it's kind of what I'm chasing at this point of the offseason. Someone that I think can dramatically increase in value, even if they have some risk to decrease. I like the idea of taking Hopkins and potentially getting that massive swing, because if he were to find himself in a phenomenal landing spot, who knows? Maybe Hopkins is going at the 2-3 turn by the time we get to August, and the thing we're trying to do in these drafts is find players that could see their ADP rise significantly. Please let me know. Can y'all hear what's going on outside? I have no idea. It sounds like they're doing some construction outside or something. Let me know if you can hear that. But we're going to go Andrews here, 41. Very difficult to know who his quarterback's going to be this next season in Baltimore. I mean, you're hoping that it's Lamar Jackson. Obviously, Mark Andrews is falling for the right reasons. A year ago, he was going at the 2-3 turn. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was one of the fools taking him at the 2-3 turn. I wish I didn't draft him nearly as often as I did. Here, pick 41, it's interesting. I haven't been taking a ton of elite level tight ends. Usually, we've been trying to hammer in these wide receivers early on. If we would have had Najee Harris making it to us at pick 41, we probably would have gone Najee. Okay. Now, Mike Williams, Michael Pittman, 44, 45. Terry McLaurin, 46. A big reason we decide not to go Mike Williams at 41 is just given the fact that if we're going to be looking at the tier players that we may have access to on the way back around, we may end up getting like a Godwin or a Drake London falling back to us. And if that were to be the case, I want to have the flexibility where I feel like we can just go through and take another wide receiver. It's not guaranteed that we end up getting one of those guys making back to us at 56, but it is an outside shot. And if we were to go through and take a wide receiver none for, while you definitely can take 5 wide receivers out the gate and you can make it work, it's not necessarily my favorite thing to do. I'd rather have a little more flexibility with how we can build this roster. Okay. Taylor says Lamar Jackson over Justin Fields. I mean, I think this Justin Fields value is more appropriate than where it was when we opened up drafts. I mean, if y'all remember when this contest opened up on Underdog, Justin Fields was going right in line with like the top tier of quarterbacks, which in my mind was ludicrous. But now Justin Fields going like in the Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow range. I think that's significantly more reasonable, at least, even if I'm not a big Fields guy. To be fair, I don't know if I've drafted Justin Fields at all this season. I will say in Best Ball Resurrection last year, Justin Fields was my most drafted quarterback. Believe it or not, I don't give a damn if you believe it. But that's back whenever you had Lamar Jackson and those quarterbacks starting off so hot that in Best Ball Resurrection last year, they ended up being like first-round picks. So I ended up just waiting until the very end of every single draft and like rounds 14, 15, 16, taking 3 quarterbacks. So I'd take like Justin Fields, Matt Ryan, and then quarterback X. And it ended up working out very well for us. But of course, we kind of got lucky there. Okay. So we're about to be back up on the clock. So Godwin goes. So that tier of wide receivers not making it back to us. Aaron Jones goes 54. Obviously, Aaron Jones with the restructured contract. I probably wouldn't have been considering Aaron Jones there. This team has Justin Fields, Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel. They go DeAndre Swift. We don't have a Justin Herbert stack. This makes me honestly wish that we went through and took Mike Williams over Mark Andrews in the last round. But I feel like getting Justin Herbert at pick 56, whereas this is a quarterback that people were incorrectly drafting ahead of Patrick Mahomes last year. If you remember how excited people were about Justin Herbert was the second quarterback off the majority of draft boards, only behind Josh Allen. I feel like pick 56 in comparison to Hurts, Allen, Mahomes in round 2. I'm definitely going to be more willing to pay this price compared to those other guys. Okay. Mista says, if Rodgers comes to the Jets, would you put Garrett Wilson above DK Metcalf? I think most people have Garrett Wilson above DK Metcalf already, my friend. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers with the Jets, I mean, you 100% do it, but I think that's almost consensus as is. Okay, so let's see if we get a running back that we like making it to us. If not, no worries. At the end of the day, round 7, 8 is, in my mind, our strike zone for running back. We've talked about that over and over again. Lockett goes 63. We could go with the very unique build, and I was going to say take Dallas Goedert here and see how it would look if we mix it up that way. But now it's not really something that's too interesting. I think that we're either going to be looking at Dalvin or Damian. Let's go ahead and let's take Dalvin Cook. I mean, it is what it is. Actually, I did not see this report coming out 8 minutes ago. We'll take Dalvin. We'll take Dalvin. We need a running back. I don't know what this trade rumor is. Blah, blah, blah. Dameon Pierce, round 6, I feel like is very fair value. It's almost cheaper than where he's going last offseason. I definitely think that Dameon Pierce has some red flags going into year 2. We know that teams historically don't want to go through and fully commit to those running backs that they didn't invest into a ton in the NFL draft. Dameon Pierce, a day 3 draft pick, but 6th round in my mind seems like a very, very fair price point. But let me show off this entire draft board so far. We have just a bunch of old, boring players. I mean, this is like the oldest draft you're ever going to see. We have Adams in the 1st, Hopkins in the 3rd, Dalvin at 65. So we just have a ton of old guys here. I mean, if I were to critique this draft, I'd say if we would have known that we were getting Justin Herbert, pick 56, probably go Mike Williams over Mark Andrews. Switch it up that way. It would have been very interesting if we could have gone Mike Williams 41, Herbert 56, and then had either Kyle Pitts or Dallas Goedert falling to us at pick 65. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, though. I mean, kind of is what it is. Duke says, I believe if the Eagles and Vikings were to trade Dalvin and Sanders, both teams would be able to clear $10 million in cap. I believe Miles Sanders is an unrestricted free agent, right? I don't exactly see where you're getting that from. Maybe I'm wrong, my friend, but I don't see how they're, having the capability of trading Miles Sanders. Are you talking about like a sign and trade? Like, what's going on here? Michael says, because Wilson should be going middle of the 3rd round at best. Because I have 0 Garrett Wilson. I mean, I would say Garrett Wilson, an incredibly exciting talent. And I think most people are pricing in some kind of quarterback upgrade for the Jets. I don't think we know exactly how they are going to get that quarterback upgrade. I don't know if we know exactly where it's coming from. I think most people are assuming that the Jets are going to be upgrading at QB, though, and that's why they're willing to go through and why they're willing to take that bet now. Sam says, Dan Mason passed on CeeDee Lamb despite him being in the thumbnail. There's absolutely a world where this year Lamb outscores Adams on the season. I completely agree with you, my friend, and I did think about that as we passed him. I did think about, okay, well, maybe do we go out of left field here and take CeeDee Lamb just because he's on the thumbnail? Okay. There were some very weird reports on Twitter about Joe Mixon. I'm assuming that they're not true. We're taking a pick that has a ton of risk. Let me reiterate. A ton of risk. This could be the worst pick in the entire draft. But at the same time, there's an outside chance that this story is complete baloney, that we're getting Joe Mixon 10 picks past his ADP. We're getting him in the 7th round. Maybe he was dealing with an injury during the playoffs, and that's why the usage was weird with Samaje Perine. Could be a very bad pick. Could be a very good one. That's the kind of pick I'm trying to make in this draft. Just swing for the fences almost. It's a $10 buy-in, $1 million prize pull in underdog. Okay. Taylor says, Chargers probably taking Addison, Flowers, or Quentin Johnson, so could still get a sick potential stack. Just got to guess. Yeah. I mean, I would have taken Quentin Johnson if you would have made it to us at pick 80. I actually have Johnston ahead of Jordan Addison post-combine, given the Addison size concerns. But we don't have the option at either. And I'm not taking Zay Flowers here. No interest in Zay Flowers here. Much prefer running back. Okay. So Miles Sanders going pick 87. Evan Ingram, 88. Do we just try to continue to make a unique build by taking running backs as they fall significantly past ADP? We'll go Akers. I mean, if you're going to be looking at my exposures, right now I have significantly more James Conner and Zach Charbonnet than Cam Akers. But in a lot of drafts, we're able to actually get them at the end of the 8th, the beginning of the 9th. Whereas with Cam Akers, in most drafts, he's going in the 7th round. I think the combination of teams that are going to have Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, and Cam Akers all on one, probably slim to none. So very interesting build. Let me show this off. We have Adams, Waddle, Hopkins as our 3 wide receivers. We have Andrews, Herbert, quarterback, tight end pairing. Running back, we have Dalvin, Mixon, as well as Cam Akers. Duke says, last year you were so high on Courtland Sutton. Yes, if y'all don't know, last year, Courtland Sutton, my most drafted player in fantasy football. I was so convinced that he was going to be Cooper Kupp, even though he had never had a top 24 wide receiver on a points per game basis. And the man was literally going into his age 27 season. But I heard a bunch of people on YouTube saying he was going to be Cooper Kupp. So I decided to hop on the bandwagon because he was big and tall and I wanted to act like I was smart. So I went through and made him my most drafted player. Obviously, I did not. Obviously, I did not draft Courtland Sutton ever. Why would I ever do such a thing? But let's see. Dak Prescott going pick 95. Tua goes 92. I mean, not too big of a deal for us one way or another, seeing these quarterbacks off the board whenever we have Justin Herbert. Would have been interesting if we would have had Tua making it to us like in the 9th round, given the fact that we did take Jalen Waddle round 2. But, I mean, is what it is. I feel like this Tua team maybe could have got away with passing on Tua just a little bit longer, going with a different player around 8, getting Tua on the way back around 9, because they were the team that took Tyreek Hill, and we had Jalen Waddle on this side of the board, but maybe they just wanted to lock it in and not try to get Q with it and find some value. Okay. Now, Lance 96. Now, all jokes aside, that is actually a player I did draft a decent amount of, and obviously we crashed and burned very early on. Brian Robinson 97. I feel like we have a balanced team at this point where I'm not sitting here sweating any individual position falling to us. I think that we have a lot of flexibility in what we could decide to do with this next pick. I mean, there are a couple of values that I like on the board currently. Daniel Jones, obviously, getting $40 million a year. But at the same time, I mean, it's always a little difficult to take Daniel Jones just because the stacking options are very hard to find. You really don't know what the Giants wide receiver core is going to be looking like. Duke says, what is the number of quarterbacks to draft being the most efficient? I would say in the typical 18-round underdog drafts, you can't really get away with either drafting 2 to 3 quarterbacks. If it's the 18-round underdog draft, you have to draft 2 to 3 quarterbacks. Can't really play around with it. If you wait a decent amount of time to take your quarterbacks, you probably draft 3. If you take someone early, you probably only draft 2. But this is a 20-round underdog draft, so I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know the optimal in terms of what you should be trying to accomplish here. And give me 1 second. We're going to waste a pick on Darren Waller, getting a player falling past ADP. We have Adams as well. So I think if we take Waller, Adams, we're kind of making one consolidated bet with the Raiders offense, assuming that Waller is there next year. We could possibly go ahead and take a rookie quarterback later on and then try to find a way to get a double stack there that could be unique from the rest of the field. But in reality, it's probably a horrible pick. We took Darren Waller in the last draft as well. I think we got Darren Waller around 10. It was like the first 2 drafts that we've taken him in all offseason. Hyatt goes 106. Duke says Kirk is the best value for your team. Kirk Cousins, not really someone that I'm too interested in. If you're going to be looking at quarterback values later on, I feel like, sure, if he makes it to us at pick 113, we'll go for it. But I wasn't jumping up and down to take Kirk Cousins there in the 9th round. Joshua Palmer is also interesting in that we kind of have to go out of our way and get a stack with Justin Herbert, which we don't have as of now. Like, Joshua Palmer's kind of our last option there. I don't even know if we were going to be able to get him if we wanted him. I think we're going to go Palmer or Kirk Cousins. Cousins, we would have Dalvin lined up. We also would have Kirk Cousins approximately 16 picks past his ADP. Let's go ahead and let's say Cousins. Probably done at QB. Just given the fact this is a 20-round draft, we could, and I repeat, could, being the key word, decide to take a 3rd quarterback at the very end. It's not something we have to do. It's not something we can't do either. It's just going to be up to the value that we find. Very weird draft. This is one of the weirder drafts we've ever had. So far through 10 rounds, we have 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, 3 wide receivers, 3 running backs. 3 wide receivers being Adams, Waddle, Hopkins. Our two tight ends being Andrews Waller, our two quarterbacks being Herbert Cousins, our three running backs being Dalvin Mixon Akers. Yeah, very, very weird draft. Taylor says we could snag KJ Osborne as well. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to have to be looking for Osborne later on. And I don't know if y'all saw, KJ Osborne saved someone from a burning car earlier. I don't know exactly what day it was this week, but earlier this week, KJ Osborne saved someone's life. Which is only more the reason to go out and draft him, of course. Saving lives has to correlate with fantasy football production. I don't think anybody would argue against that one. Okay, Kenneth Gainwell goes 119. Russell Wilson 120. Hey says, do you think there's a legit chance Anthony Richardson sits behind someone a year to develop? There's a chance. I would say if he's a top 5 NFL draft pick, it's highly unlikely. How often do we see a top 5 NFL pick sit an entire year? There's always a chance, but I don't think it's going to happen. Like I said, if he's looking like he's going to be a top 5 NFL draft pick, if he's a top 5 NFL draft pick, you're probably starting soon. The Lance is really the only guy we can point to saying, okay, well, he's a quarterback that had all the rushing upside in the world. That's sad for the first year, and clearly we've not seen him. I went all in on Trey Lance. Maybe I'm a little bit burned. Okay. So let's slide this down. I don't want to get too excited. There's an outside chance we get Palmer, given the fact that we're the team that took Herbert, so I don't know how excited everybody else is to go out there and run after him. But we'll see. It's always a possibility. What we're really hoping to see is teams decide to take quarterback and tight end. We're kind of done with the quarterback tight end race with both Herbert Cousins as well as Andrews Waller. Okay, perfect. Oh my gosh, this is phenomenal. This is beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, there's a chance that the Chargers go out there and select a rookie wide receiver. But the fact that we're getting Joshua Palmer to stack up with Justin Herbert, both at value. So let's point this out. Adams, Waddle, Hopkins, Palmer, wide receiver. Tight end, we have Andrews Waller. Quarterback, Herbert Cousins. Running back, Dalvin Mixon Akers. Oh my gosh, that was perfect. We got very lucky there. I thought once we took Cousins 113, there was almost no shot we were getting Joshua Palmer coming back around to us. Let's swing this back around. Wan'Dale Robinson off the board. Okay. Such an interesting change, this being a 20-round draft opposed to being an 18-rounder. Kayshon Boutte going 135, a player that's been falling like a rock since the combine. Is there a chance Zeke just falls into the end zone, scores some random touchdowns this year? I mean, really, we're only looking at running back, wide receiver. It's the only thing that we can do. There are two players I like. One being Ezekiel Elliott. We've already decided to make this the old man team. We've already decided that this will be a team that is eating pudding cups all day at the retirement home. So might as well stay on brand here and go through and take Ezekiel Elliott 137. Yeah, there's one player that I really want on the way back around. I think that there's a chance that we get him based on his ADP. Zeke was kind of whatever, but there's no way that we get him in the 13th. So let's take him here. Hope that he scores a random 7 touchdowns this next season. If Pollard gets hurt, then maybe he has a couple 20-point games. Probably not, but hell, I mean, how likely is Romeo Doubs or Kayshon Boutte to have few 20-point games. Highly unlikely. Rod says you've got the best team of 2019. Oh my gosh. Let's go through. Let's hop in a time machine. Take this back to 2019. Obviously, Jalen Waddle at Alabama 2019. We don't have him, but who cares? We're rolling with Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon. Even if Akers isn't on this team 2019, even Herbert's not on this team in 2019. Zeke as well. Oh my gosh. This was 2019. Game over for the rest of the league. Nick says, what are the odds Zeke stays in Dallas? I don't see a way unless he takes a big pay cut. I think reports have already come out saying that Ezekiel Elliott is going to take a pay cut. Am I wrong in that? Pretty sure. Mr. Shock says, traded Zach Wilson for a case of beer. I won this trade, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to argue against that one, my friend. I'm surprised you were able to pull that off. Okay. Now, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Matthew Stafford. Greg Dulcich goes 144. Come on, people, please take some tight ends here. Just take some tight ends. Nick says, oh, word, I haven't heard, but thanks for the update. Okay. Nick, I'm going to be honest with you. My sources for Ezekiel Elliott taking less money to stay in Dallas may or may not be the YouTube live chat and what they told us a few weeks back. So let me go through and see if I can find an official source. I kind of blindly follow the YouTube live chat a little too often. Michael Gallup was actually the player that I kind of wanted, not going to lie to you. But I thought that there was a chance that we were going to get him 152. His ADP was 151. So Gallup going does suck in my mind. Okay. Update. The Cowboys want to keep both running backs, Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. Pollard will get an $11 million franchise tag, and Zeke is currently set to make $16.7. They'll likely ask Zeke to take a huge pay cut. Okay. The Cowboys have placed the franchise tag on Tony Pollard, meaning Schultz will become a free agent and avoid the second straight tag. The move also raises questions on what will happen to Zeke Elliott, blah, blah, blah. So, if you ask the YouTube live chat, Zeke's taking a large pay cut, which for this team is kind of what we need. Okay. Let's swing this back around. Shaheed goes 150. People were wanting us to take Allen Lazard with our last pick, but to be honest with you, I like Allen Lazard and all these other wide receivers are the same for me. Can we get away with taking Anthony Richardson? Yeah, I'm not interested in Lazard. I never thought he was a talented player. He's one of my most avoided players last offseason. I thought he was grossly overvalued. I would never in a million years take a third quarterback if this was an 18-round draft on Underdog. But with this being a 20-round draft, I feel like we have the ability to pull the trigger on the third guy, even if we took Justin Herbert in round 5. So we're going to go with Anthony Richardson. What would actually be very good for this team is if Anthony Richardson were to sit the first half of the season, then what we end up getting is Richardson just for the final few weeks at low ownership, exploding all over the place and winning us something, advancing us one of the weeks in the fantasy football playoff tournament. So that's what we're hoping for at this point. And also we need to get some young blood here, okay? I mean, so far we have only old players with Dalvin, Mixon, Zeke, Hopkins, Adams, Darren Waller, Cousins. It's embarrassing. Speaking of having to get some younger talent, we will go for Sean Tucker, who in my mind had a pretty damn good NFL combine, didn't do much, but we already know he's very fast. We don't have to worry about that. And he showed that he probably has the size to be a 3-down running back. So I really like going out of our way and adding on Sean Tucker at a value. He's another one of these players that I feel like his ADP could significantly rise after his pro day, after you end up getting some really strong testing numbers from him. Okay, so we have some people saying Allen Lazard's going to be a lock for 100 targets on the Packers. I have news for you, ladies and gentlemen. Allen Lazard's an unrestricted free agent. Unless I'm mistaken, I don't think he's re-signed with Green Bay yet. Please let me know if I'm wrong, but I believe Lazard's an unrestricted free agent. Duke says he's not leaving. Have you seen a report from Lazard's camp or anything? DJ Chark, Curtis Samuel. If I were to gone with a wide receiver, I definitely would have taken DJ Chark. I actually like DJ Chark this year at this price. Duke says, I'm a Packers fan, so I'm delusional. Okay, well, thank you at least for being honest, my friend. Thank you. MVS, Curtis Samuel. Let me go through and show this entire draft board for anybody just now coming in. This team's very weird, very unique. We're about to have to hammer off a ton of wide receivers and pray to God that we can hit on one. Because as of now, we have Adams, Waddle, Hopkins, and Joshua Palmer at wide receiver. Tight end, we have Andrews, Darren Waller. Quarterback, we have Herbert stacked with Palmer. Cousins stacked with Dalvin. Anthony Richardson potentially stacked with Davante Adams and Darren Waller. If that were to occur, good luck, everybody. I mean, we already win. And then running back, we have Dalvin, Mixon, Akers, Zeke, Sean Tucker. So we're also coming to the end of the line at running back. We really just need to hammer in wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. But, I mean, dear God, imagine if Anthony Richardson goes to Las Vegas. And then we have the Adams, Waller, Richardson double stack, and the rest of the field probably doesn't. It'd be very exciting. It'd be very interesting. Okay, so Mac Jones, 172. And I feel like once we take a third quarterback, we can't go tight ends. Like, I think we have to be pot committed based on how early we went QB and tight end here to only 5 guys total between the two positions with how much how much wide receiver help we need. So let's swing this back around. Clearly it'd be nice to get Thielen if Adam Thielen were to make his way back to Minnesota. I have no idea if that would happen, but if there's a chance, at that point we'd have Dalvin, Thielen, and Cousins all lined up. I have no idea if Adam Thielen's going to be a Minnesota Viking this next year, but I know a couple things. A, we have vowed to only draft old players in this draft. And B, we need a wide receiver. And C, we've already taken a couple Minnesota Vikings, so I'll just pull the trigger. This is probably the oldest team I've ever drafted, and I'm not joking. Kobe Short says, do you think Adams could be dust this year? Probably not. I mean, I wasn't drafting Adams a lot last year, going to be honest with you. And then he comes out 17 targets week 1, and I'm like, oh, dear God. Oh, dear God. Okay, McKinnon, 183. Kendre Miller, 182. Warren, 184. Okay, we need wide receiver. Where are we getting it from? Oh, dear God. Yeah, we're going to go Marvin Mims. I mean, he's probably bad, but I know all these other wide receivers at the top of the draft are bad. Like, Marvin Mims is most likely not good, but is anybody else there at the top? Maybe make the argument for Nico Collins. Marvin Mims has athleticism as well. Maybe he's a decent best ball option. He can break off a couple big plays. Shakir is someone I just have no faith in, to be honest with you. I didn't like him as a prospect. Didn't really like him as a rookie. Okay. Taylor says, I never understand the dust argument for guys that haven't really been injured and are coming off of 1,200 yard seasons. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, it's hard to say Adam's going to go down anytime soon. Okay. Duke says you should do some of the dance NBA playoffs. I'm curious to see your strategy. I'm about 33 drafts in. My friend, I cannot do that in this economy. I can't be going out there and just straight up embarrassing myself, okay? And the NFL contest, we won like $150,000 this past year. I think our ROI is good enough with the NFL contest. We're going to stick to this. I'm not going to embarrass myself with what we have going on in the NBA. It's probably a lot of fun, but yeah, I'm not gonna embarrass myself, my friend. I'm gonna do that enough as is. Okay. Will Levis goes 192. Let's sit here and think. Anthony Richardson. If we go Claypool and then Will Levis, would you all rather have Anthony Richardson, Marvin Mims, or Chase Claypool, Will Levis? So I do like the Levis value. Obviously, this team is just so desperate for wide receiver help. Michael says Claypool. Tobin says Claypool Levis as well. Yeah. I mean, I think y'all are probably right. I think that they're just going to be forced to use Claypool given the investment into him. Okay. This team goes Hardman. Diggs, Higgins, Johnson, Sutton, Thomas, Dobbs, Shakir, Hardman. Interesting. This team has 7 running backs. Has this team been auto-picking? They have 4 wide receivers. I mean, please, keep on avoiding wide receivers. We need some falling to us. Okay. So the thing is, we can go a couple different ways. We can bring in another rookie saying, what if? Or we can stay on trend going old dusty veteran. Which wide receiver are you wanting? First message I see in the live chat we're going with. First one I see in the live chat we're going with. We're in a little bit of a lag. We got 9 seconds. Taylor says McKenzie. I'm not doing that. We're going to go rookie. Okay. And we have NFL Production says, where is this at? This is Underdog Fantasy. They have best ball drafts already going. It's a $10 buy-in, $1 million prize pool, $100,000 to first. I actually won $150,000 on Underdog last year. And no time commitment at all during the season. When you sign up with promo code FLOCK to Underdog Fantasy, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. And they're available in damn near every state. They're not available in Nevada, Michigan, Louisiana, Washington, and maybe one more. Something like that. I don't know. Okay. Like, I'm in Texas. They're available in Texas. They're available. I was in Florida last year, available in Florida. Sean says, thoughts on Evans Godwin this year? I mean, obviously, they're very talented wide receivers, but at the end of the day, the offense just may be so damn bad that it doesn't matter, that they may not be able to have enough volume to go around. I've been drafting them at their ADP. To be honest with you, I don't really have super strong feelings one way or another. I think they're probably appropriately valued. I know that's such a boring answer, and I'm sorry about it, but kind of is what it is. Hey says, first one I see I'm going with. No, I'm not doing that. Well, yeah, I asked for Rice or Allen Robinson. Someone went left field and said Isaiah McKenzie. I didn't say we were going, giving all control up. I said pick between the two. Okay, let's go through and see if we get A-Rob on the way back around. So we're only running back wide receiver from here on out, like I said. We're really relying on Adams, Waddle, Hopkins to stay healthy. Please, for the love of God, y'all got to stay healthy. A-Rob goes 207. Corey Davis, 208. Let's go Van Jefferson. We just need another wide receiver. I don't know what to do, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go Van Jefferson. We're going to have 2 more picks, but I've been taking some guys. I don't want to say being secretive about it, but I've been trying not to give away my last 2 picks in a lot of these drafts because I'm trying to be a little unique from the field. And I don't want everybody just taking our guys from us. So let's show off this draft board. Very interesting team. I'll say that. I think if this team has any shot to do anything, what it needs is Anthony Richardson to go to the Raiders and for senior citizens to rule the NFL this next season. But thank you again. I truly do appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day. And of course, if you want to get our next draft with us on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the comment section. You can find it in the description. When you sign up to Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100 and available in damn near every state. But I think that's all I got for you. Thank you. I appreciate you and hope we get to see you with the live stream probably on Sunday.